It's time to hold the line against these mighty Kickstarter Pickstarters that we have for you for this week of August 27th, 2018.
Queen Games has not one, not two, but 3 of their new games on Kickstarter right now. In fact, 3 games that they're having released at this year's Essen Spiel Festival. If you're not going to be able to attend this convention in Germany this year, which a lot of you listening probably aren't, then this is your best bet to get these new games. They are Bastille, Skyland, and Franchise, and you can spend $57 to get just one of those, or $105 for the whole set. All 3, pretty good deal. Bastille is a bidding game where you're putting out pieces onto different locations in France, trying to get more influence there than everyone else. Skyland is sort of a fantasy title where everyone has their own little islands and you're in the sky and you're placing special tiles and making cool little sky island cities. And then Franchise is actually a re-implementation of an older game. Used to have a medieval theme. Now it is very modern. Everyone has their own franchise restaurant.
Yeah,
it could
I think
be
it's like
things.
1950s America style.
Yeah, that kind of a thing. And you have a map of the United States and you're trying to get better locations, make more money than everybody else, have a better presence.
We should also mention that this is for the first print run, which they said should be very limited outside of this until they make more, possibly from popularity, as well as they mentioned a bunch of Queenies, pretty much their exclusive expansions for each of them.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to miss out on those Queenies. I thought they sounded pretty cool. I thought Franchise maybe sounded like the coolest one.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely, that's of the 3. That's the one probably caught me more. Maybe it's just. I think that just that 1940s, 50s style just always catches my eye a little bit.
Made me want to be like Michael Keaton in The Founder.
and ruin thousands of people's lives for years and decades to come.
That's what I'm all about. So anyway, the Queen Games Essen Kickstarter, check it out. See what you think if you want to get a little piece of that action that you can't get because it's hard to get to Germany these days.
Power Rangers is getting a full new release from Renegade Games. This new game, Saban's Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid, has you take control of one of the 5 main core Rangers, possibly others, in order to save Angel Grove from putties, monsters, and masterminds alike. The pledge levels for this one is a new trend we see, which the core game will be $75. This will come with just what's in the box, which are the 5 Rangers, 1 Mastermind, I believe Rita Repulsa, as well as a few monsters and putties. And there was 1 Kickstarter exclusive hero of Alpha, because that's who everyone really wants to see go into combat. But to get stretch goals, you'll have to pay $90. What's interesting about this is the stretch goal, which is a Kickstarter exclusives, included the Green Ranger, as well as the 2 expansion. There are 3 expansions you can possibly get. 2 of them are Kickstarter exclusive. One is Green Ranger when he's evil. The other is actually the White Ranger and your favorite mastermind of the Ranger series, Lord Zed.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Pudgy Pig.
He's one of the core monsters I believe you can get. And I found this really confusing because to me, I'm like, those shouldn't be Kickstarter exclusive. Those are core characters, you'd think. This apparently, actually, I think the reason why is not based off the TV show really. I mean, not directly that we know and grew up with, or the, if anyone's curious, the Sentai show. But actually based more on the comics where the core 5 really play a bigger role. For certain reasons, I don't want to say for story spoilers.
Okay.
But the expansion that's not Kickstarter exclusive, I think, is what's interesting. Because it actually comes with the Hyperforce Rangers. These Rangers are actually the ones made from, like, fan-made in essence, I guess you might say. There was an RPG done live through Twitch, in which they had people, fans and actors from the show, play as a different team known as the Hyperforce. Pretty much sort of cadet rangers.
Okay.
And really cool, and they become very popular. So you can actually play as them. And it comes with a villain that recently has been in the comics known as Lord Drakon, I think I'm getting the name wrong or something. But in essence, an evil Tommy who is like gains the powers of both White and Green Ranger and combines them. And does shenanigans with all the other Ranger verses.
Light green? Is that what you get when you mix white and green?
Apparently you get a
faded green.
Yeah, and also he apparently cloned Ranger, so he has one of the troops he brings is a Black Ranger trooper. It's the Black Ranger, but all of them in SWAT gear. So definitely if you're a comic book fan, this is going to be more geared towards you.
I'm excited. I like Renegade games. Power Rangers seems like a cool basis for a game. I was a little taken aback by the price point, $75.
It definitely is an interest, and not only that, it's just that whole adding for just the kicks. It's one of those,
sucks.
But I do want to say that's more me angry at the sort of style that Kickstarters have, not the game itself. The game itself is a cooperative game where you sort of defend Angel Grove in these territories that have a panic level. 2 minutes panic, game ends. Or if too many Rangers die, game ends. And it's one of those where your deck is your life. So it's this balance of, do I use the, go full in, or do I take a lot of hits? And each Ranger played really cool. I already know that you'd love to play the Blue Ranger because he's actually about being more defensive and countering your opponents, so you don't get as much damage. Right up your alley. And more enemies actually unlock Zords, which anyone could use, so that it has that mix of a little bit of both. So it's currently definitely hit plenty of stretch goals and stuff, so it's coming. So we'll definitely see how Renegade continues to treat this game and hopefully continue to feed it with the rich lore that both the Sentai and the Saban Power Ranger series has to offer.
Red Raven Games is bringing back The Ancient World with a brand new 2nd edition. This game from designer Ryan Laukat, who's done a bunch of really cool things lately, like the Above and Below / Near and Far games. This one, like I said, it's the 2nd edition of that 1st edition of The Ancient World. Takes place in, appropriately enough, an ancient world in which you're going to be taking control of a bunch of different tribes, and there are titans monsterizing, that's a word, right? They're monsterizing the lands, and you got to fight back against them. And with your different empires, you're going to be playing cards, and you're going to be trying to get different sets of special banners for your specific empires to get more points than your opponents. Some of the new things in this one, a bunch of new updated artwork, and in this one you're actually going to be able to attack those titans. Before you weren't able to do that, so if you want to fight back a little bit, this could be up your alley. This is one that I'm really just curious about because we never got to play the original Ancient World, but I love the look of it. I love the art style. It's coming from a renowned designer, so it seems like a good opportunity to jump on. I don't know from people who have played the original if they have any concerns about changes, or maybe it will be, usually these things always tend to streamline from the originals, but if you're an Ancient World person, you gotta love that artwork, that art style. I think he does a great job. It's very similar to what we saw with Near and Far in those games because it's the same team.
Right. It is cool when there's the art theme. For a designer, if he can get it across multiple games, so you can be like, I recognize that. It is.
Yeah.
This definitely felt that. I know, it's like seeing Above and Below, as you mentioned. You're like, it's not literally the same, but you're like, yeah.
Right. I think they are in the same universe.
Right, but I mean, not like a literal.
It's not just like they took the same art and copied it or anything like that. Yeah. So The Ancient World, 2nd edition, $50. Check it out.
If you ever browse Kickstarter, especially during a presidential election, you'll probably see a tidal wave of games, usually about the 2 presidents pitted next to each other. Probably just a Cards Against Humanity clone. Well, this game is a little bit different and a bit more in depth. This is called The Partisans from Luke Peterschmidt. He actually is the writer of a bunch of political episodes for a show called Extra Credit. It's a really cool YouTube channel. If you like video games, you really should check them out. But this sort of small series was about US politics and sort of how's it work, what's going on there, because it's very complicated.
It's some weird stuff.
And this game sort of plays on that because they talk about how a lot of politics share game mechanics and what to do. Like, for example, when a game's broken, this is what you do. So how's that reflect in politics? And that's how this works here. But instead of being like, okay, you play the Republicans, I play the Democrats, you more play interest groups. Like, I'll play blue collar labor. You may play more of the rich industry, or you may play more anarchy. So you have to try to get your laws passed that support your groups, and you'll have a bunch of different things, and each law will have this is good for this group or bad for this group. And you can also get interest groups, for example, or not lobbyists, but things like that. I think, yeah, lobbyist is the right word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one of the words.
But they'll be like, we need this to pass, so this is up. So there's this whole thing of up and down and trying to balance certain laws, but you need everyone else to help you sort of vote with it. So you can't just be like, this is all only good for me. I may want to try to get your group in too. So I'm like, okay, it has a couple things that you want.
So
like for education and
it
stuff.
definitely doesn't sound like a party game.
No, I think
it's a more in-depth.
There's a lot more going on, yeah. And you get points at the end if a lot of education went on, but if that didn't happen, you get nothing. So there's definitely this balance of trying to find out, like, how do I... It's sort of it really focuses a lot more on not the simple having to just be, are you like the red team? No? Then forget you. This is a lot more that, I forget the tit for tack. You have to try to balance out, like...
I think you cross two together, but it's still, people understand.
I can't remember the game strategy, which when you have to like give a little to also get a little.
Yeah.
And it does so in a way that I thought was a bit more interesting compared to a lot of the other political games. Like I said, a lot of them feel more like just Cards Against Humanity to mock both sides. Right. Focusing on trying to get some of those like ideas of not simply just my team versus your team.
It sounds like a cool concept, yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, this comes from the writer of the episodes. I think extra credits, I've brought them up multiple times, I think, during our own podcast or news articles. This goes for $49. Definitely give it a look-see, especially if you're interested in that kind of stuff, because maybe it'll make you a better voter.
Our last pick for the week is Blackstone Castle from Dragon Phoenix Games. This is an interesting one. Basically, there is a layout on the board, a grid, with the words black and stone in cards. So at the top, you'll have black, and on the bottom black, and on the two sides stone. And each one represents a row and or column respectively. And your goal is to manipulate the cards within those rows to get them to where you want them to be. So you will have different cards that have goals on them. For instance, it might say you need this particular type of unit to be in an N row and in an L column, or vice versa, whatever the combination of letters are. And you're going to have different actions and abilities that you can use to move things around, sort of like one of those old sliding puzzles where you have to move the things into adjacent parts of the puzzle to make a picture. So you can't just move it wherever you want. You have to manipulate the cards slowly, orthogonally to where you want them to go. At the same time, your opponents are going to be trying to move them in different ways to different places as well. And if you succeed, you're going to be rewarded with things like you have wizard and knight tokens that allow you to manipulate the board in different ways. And eventually, first person to a certain amount of points, the game ends and they win the game. I just thought it was a pretty unique idea. I'd never really seen a board game take that premise and do something with it, like those old sliding puzzles. It seemed kind of cool, and it comes with a cooperative mode as well, so if you're someone who likes that, and a solo mode, so always a good thing to have, so you can play it on your own. Probably not something that's gonna, have much of a theme that you might expect from that cool cover and the name that's, very ominous and medieval sounding.
Cue the thunder in the background.
Yeah, cue that thunder. But Blackstone Castle, nonetheless, I thought it looked cool. It goes for $24. Ain't hardly nothing. It's our cheapest pick of the week. That's everything. Let us know what you backed or didn't back, or maybe if there was some stuff that we missed in the past month when we weren't doing Kickstarter Pickstarters that you've been backing in the meantime. We're interested to hear that stuff. We weren't here, by the way, for a while because we were at Gen Con, and speaking of which, you could try to win one of those games from Gen Con. We've got a special hot contest going on. Just a few more days left. Check the description for a link below, or it's bit.ly/RFC giveaway, and you can try to win one of those games. We're giving them away. It's real easy. Go ahead and enter. Otherwise, that's it. This has been Kickstarter Pickstarter. I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Will.
And I already said it's Kickstarter Pickstarter from Roll for Crit. Make sure you click the like and subscribe buttons so you get more board game content from Roll for Crit.
Do it. Do it now.